Now, before we get into this 1% Warrior review, there's some important information we like to share with our viewers about Sakaguchi. So we recorded this review like a couple of days before this news broke out, right, Peter?
Yes, couple days.
Yeah, so some news came to light to us thanks to Tom Mess over on Twitter. Now I know some people cannot separate, can separate the art from the artist, and others cannot, and that is very understandable. I also believe that one man's actions should not hamper the work of others. And that's why we went ahead with uploading this review, but we felt it's only right to share this information with our viewers. So, Peter, man, I mean, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, as many viewers of this channel will likely remember, I called out Jackie Chan for his lackluster behavior behind the camera in our video for Ride On. And while that movie was pretty decent, I can understand that some people won't necessarily care about Chan's personal life. I felt it was important to bring some context to why my opinion on the movie was different from the norm, and that same applies here with One Percenter. Frankie and I had recorded the video a couple of days before Tom Mess's Twitter thread went up. Some reports of Sakaguchi's behavior had surfaced years prior, but nothing was definitively proven, and it seemed as if his apology was taken at face value. It wasn't until this very movie attempted to release in Japan last year that more digging started to happen. So in the face of this Twitter thread, Frank and I didn't feel right in not bringing it up before this review. We haven't altered our video as our opinion on the film as a whole is mostly the same. It becomes a similar situation to Ride On, however, in that knowing can alter perception. There are few too many biographical elements to Tak's character in One Percenter that it wouldn't be right to simply ignore these allegations. While this little addition at the beginning may seem like a half measure, our goal with Times Square Kung Fu has never been to tell you what is good or bad or right or wrong. Even with our picture comparisons, the conclusion is left up to you to decide. I personally, in this scenario, feel as if Sakaguchi's handling of the situation sucks. The production company, Weber, has also not handled things very gracefully. There's going to be no judgment from us, though, if you decide that the allegations against Tak won't stop you from enjoying One Percenter. Ultimately, all films are a collaborative work between multiple parties, and there are elements in this movie that are great. It's just a tragic shame that Tak's personal behavior doesn't match up to the same standard met by this film.
Right, right. And one thing I like to mention is that if you guys not aware of Tom Mess, he's been in the industry for a long time. Done audio commentary. He's a writer for Japanese films. He's a Japanese film historian. So I'm gonna link to his Twitter thread on the description of this video. And if you guys get to read that Twitter thread, just be aware there's some very dark and heinous acts being reported there by the parts by in the hands of Sakaguchi. And the people who are backing up these claims are notable and reliable individuals in the Japanese film industry. So definitely check out the Twitter thread. Welcome to the episode of Times Square Kung Fu. I am your host, Frankie Balboa, aka the Shogun Supreme.
And I'm Peter Glagowski, Associate Editor over at Flixes.com. Today we're going to be talking about WellGO USA's upcoming release of One Percenter, or as they call it, 1% Warrior.
I don't know why. Yeah,
Gotta make it American.
Yeah, this joint definitely it's a banger. Comes out on the 13th of the 12th of March, and it's something that it took Peter and me by surprise. The action is what we expected and then some, but it's definitely the story. So we're gonna get into this episode on 1% Warrior. Oh god, that title. And we're gonna break this film down because it has a lot of legendary actors in it, and this director gave you guys a classic. I mean, a VHS rental banger. He wrote, he was a screenwriter for Versus, which Sakaguchi is also in it. So let's get into this episode.
よし、じゃあ本当の名パンチ見せてやろう。よし、行くぞ。
So we're not going to give too much away of the story here because, surprisingly enough, in One Percenter, the story is the main draw, I would say. But according to the WellGO USA description, After his devastatingly fast, samurai-style combat approach sets filmmakers against him, a legendary action star played by Sakaguchi films his own movie on turf cleaned by feuding yakuza gangs, including Japan's deadliest martial arts assassin. Now, we were kind of debating whether we should give that twist away, but it's in the trailer. The movie starts with a mockumentary style where we see Sakaguchi's character named Toshiro Takuma talking about how he wants to take action cinema to a more realistic area. He's kind of done with all the flowery, balletic style of choreography that's been permeating Japanese cinema for the last 20 years, in the movie at least. So you see him on a mock set of Rurouni Kenshin, and the movie's kind of poking fun at how there's that slide and everything, and people are flying through the air and stuff. And Sakaguchi just can't work with these actors because they don't know what the hell they're doing. So he gets the idea to go indie and make a movie that's showing real martial arts.
And was interesting because the thing is, I didn't get a chance to see this film when it was shown in film festivals. And the first thing that came to mind to us, because it's very common with action films in Asia, to get some comedy in there. So we thought it was gonna be a comedy / action film, and that's not the case in this film at all.
Yeah.
It starts funny, it gets serious, then it gets very, very Metal Gear serious.
Yeah, Metal Gear's got its own dark comedy, but this movie, there's maybe some little comedic bits at the beginning, but as the film progresses, it takes a very sobering look at certain aspects of action stardom, and I don't want to say anything more. But it's definitely, the conclusion's not something you would expect. And even if you kind of guess one angle of it, it goes in a completely different one, and that was just, it recontextualized the whole movie for us. So that's what propelled it from, in my opinion, and how you rated it, a 3.5-star movie to a 4-star one. It was definitely more involved than we thought.
Yeah, and the director, Yuda Yamaguchi, he did a lot of oddball, wonky stuff, just like I showed you Yakuza Weapon.
Which, fascinatingly enough, has that Metal Gear stuff in it, which this film also has very clear references to Metal Gear.
So when I saw how the film started with the whole, comedy approach and stuff, and a lot of references to Tak's career, Reborn. When I mentioned, hey, that, because they called the movie Rebirth or something like that?
Just Birth, yeah.
Just Birth.
And his character's name is the same name as the one in Reborn. So
yeah, so it's a lot of meta stuff in there, but one thing that I really did enjoy, actually his name, one thing is multiple things, is how heavily layered this film is. What I mean by layer is with its themes, the music.
Yeah. Because
they mention a lot of stuff, how action choreography is like a ballet, and it's funny because I mentioned a joke on Twitter when somebody didn't like, when somebody didn't like Kensuke Sonomura's action. I was like, well, he doesn't do none of that ballet stuff that some people are used to seeing in the 60s and 70s kung fu films, where the stuff looks like a routine. But nothing wrong with that. I love that stuff, but they bring more of a visceral, very grounded, realistic approach where you see actual techniques. Of course, these are movies. Nobody could take that many hits to the head. You see a lot of great techniques.
Absolutely not. And the movie never, there's almost an admittance by the movie at one scene where Sakaguchi's facing off against this Jeet Kune Do master named Togo Ishii. Yeah, Togo Ishii. And there's classical music playing over it. And it's very clearly that the movie is saying, hey, even in a grounded film, there's still some kind of choreography here.
But there's an actress that stole the film for us.
Yeah.
And we had to do some heavy investigation because the movie database and freaking IMDb
and
failed
WellGo.
us. And WellGo. The I don't know why they don't translate the credits. I'm gonna definitely get in contact with them about that, because you know, when it comes to Japanese films compared to a lot of Asian films, it's really difficult to find information on their films.
Yeah.
Like,
and
it's crazy. So I had
IMDb had the wrong name first off.
Yeah. Well, that's on brand for that. I had to freaking use my phone to translate the credits.
Yeah.
You
So
know?
as we found out, this actress Narumi Kanen, she plays what is at first assumed to be like a supporting villain, and she definitely steals the show. She's very over the top in a Metal Gear way. And she's got like a prosthetic leg, and she's very sadistic. And while it kind of echoes Gogo Hibari and Kill Bill, she definitely has a commanding presence on the screen, and it's very entertaining.
Yeah, and she's very new to the industry because she only has like close to 5 acting credits so far. She's in Goldfish, like I mentioned, and I need to see. I heard like good things about that film based on the manga, but her presence in this film, her mannerisms, because she's the daughter of one of the lead gangsters, and the way she speaks to him is very, you know, like, yo, really? That's how you're talking to your father? But also at the same time, like low-key giving him respect, but not really.
Yeah. It's
you know, but
it's definitely great. It's a great dynamic they have.
It's a great dynamic, but the action is something that, you know, is Kensuke. We know he's gonna deliver, but that's something that took us by surprise. That at one point we were like, "You overdoing it."
Yeah. So at first it's really cool. Like the first time you see Sakaguchi dodge a damn bullet, it's like, what the fuck, you know? Looks cool as hell. And the first couple of fights are, you know, they're typical of Kensuke Sonomura's style, but they're entertaining and different from each other. But there's one where he's got a flashlight going, and while that's creative as a setup, it just kind of repeats the same beats over and over and over. And another fight does the same thing, like he's taking a wrench and hitting people, and it's like the same hit. So you just kind of like, you know, it's entertaining, but it feels like it drags on in that respect.
Yeah, and that's something that, you know, people know I'm very infamous for on Twitter with my criticism with John Wick 4, where the stuff was too long. It just kept repeating itself.
Yeah.
And I always tell people, action cinema to me is similar to a magic trick. You know, once you see the same magic trick for the second time, it loses its impact.
Yeah, and especially on the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. Yeah,
because the thing is, the flashlight scene, there was elements that was very dope and unique, but we saw 2 waves. Like, it's a horror mode. It is just harder, you know, NPCs, and we doing this all over again. And we got that slow mo sequence twice.
Yeah.
Same thing with the wrench. It was cool. He did what he had to do, but then it just kept going, because getting into that scene, it was very unique. You know how he approached the weapons.
Yeah. The setup was very unique and creative, and the way it's filmed and everything is cool, but then when the fight kind of hits its peak, then just restarts and does the same thing, you're like, okay, I get it.
Right, I think they should have cut that out and just get to that main, you know, surprise trick of, like, you know, when you said, like, oh my God, when he put the wrench in the guy's collarbone. That was just...
That's a brutal shot, yeah.
That's a brutal shot, but again, overall, the film is fantastic, and I can't stress this enough, but the story really took us by surprise. We were like, holy shit, this thing is really fucking good.
Yeah, and I wish we could say more here, but we want you to actually watch the movie. I do think it's, even with our issues with the fight choreography here, I mean, it's a very good movie. The acting's all relatively good, you know, it's not...
Especially from Rumika,
Rumika Fukuda.
Rumika, yeah. Oh man, I just drink more water, but yeah, she does a hell of a job, because the thing is, she's definitely drives the character of Tak forward.
Yeah, she plays like an emotional hook, and then there's the support character Akira, played by Kohei Fukuyama, who is very pivotal to the movie's plot. And we're not going to say more, but I mean, that guy does a great job in portraying what he needs to.
Right, and but you know, overall, like again, this comes out on the 12th from WellGO USA. Thank you guys for sending us a review copy.
Yeah.
And this actually has an English dub, a making of, and let me tell you something. The English dub in this release, one of the guys that worked on this English dub hit me up on Twitter, and I was just like, okay, I've seen his work before, and he does fantastic stuff, especially stuff for WellGO USA. I actually enjoyed the dub in this one because a few dubs been hit and miss, especially Right On. I was like, oh my god, like no, no.
Yeah.
But the way the film goes and the way the acting, the dub works very well. So they did a fantastic job with this release. And in typical WellGO fashion, Peter, you already know.
Yeah, we don't even need to mention the audio and video. It's great. It's almost like a weird where you could rate it like 2.5 stars out of 5 and it would still look phenomenal. But yeah, it's a great looking disc.
It's a great looking disc. I mean, you're gonna see a couple stylistic choices with the banding, and there's some scenes that's also a little bit of weird like black artifacts and stuff like that, but that has to do with what was applied to them.
Yeah, that's.
But for some reason, WellGO just knows how to handle even low quality, prints that they get. Fantastic, because this is 16 gigs and it looks good.
Wow.
Yeah, it's 16 gigs, so it looks solid. But the sound is WellGO USA, man.
Yeah, there's
overall, Peter,
only so
what you
much
say
you can
before we
say
close
when
this
it's the
out?
same amazing news every time.
But yeah, Peter, what you gotta say before we close this out? Super recommend or what?
I definitely would recommend watching it. I mean, I don't think there's going to be a better release in the future. WellGo's always look good, so I would honestly say buy it.
I say freaking buy it, because WellGo has been a tear with all the licensings they've been picking up, and this is a fun film, even with the nitpicks that's there. But that's how we do. We're not gonna lie to you guys. It's just like some of the fights are a little too long, but it still looks cool. And some people don't mind that much action. Just like some people like to drink one energy drink, some people like to drink 3. So,
God.
but overall, it's great acting, fantastic freaking choreography, and the freaking story. You're a fan of Metal Gear, you're gonna see what we mean by that when you actually see this film.
Yeah.
But Peter, close this bad boy out.
So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, whatever the hell the YouTube spiel is, and until next time.
Yeah, I guess we should do these thumbnails.
After his devastatingly fast samurai-style combat approach, I'm gonna restart that.
Yeah.
After his devastatingly fast samurai-style combat approach sets filmmakers against him, a legendary action star played by Sakaguchi films his own
You got the Frank virus. You got the Frank virus.
Good thing I could just cut this part. Son of a bitch.
You gotta put that in the bloopers.